stuff like that, because again, we know generally it's fairly stale in the beginning. I mean, we don't see too much, but it's really what I'm looking for is just the first pop and then how the teams react.
Well, you've got your eyes set on the first pop. Let's take a quick listen in with Roth and see where he has his eyes set amongst other teams. That kind of area, and given the circle, that's no surprise.
No, that's no surprise at all. And again, a lot of the teams are going to be centering up here at least as much as possible. We see Soniqs there just to the west side, taking kind of Potato Hill, which is an area we actually see them quite often in the circle. I mean, for obvious reasons, they're right next to Pachinki, and it's because if they are able to pinpoint the fact that it is a split, they could punish that, but also Synergy really isn't known for punishing splits or really getting that aggressive on crashes unless they're sending it. So I'm not quite sure that's going to happen. Shift comes very...
With the way that we see these teams rolling in, we haven't seen anything just too problematic just yet.
I'm actually looking at something potentially problematic right now. Besides, oh, wait a second, fight TsoK.
Oh, TsoK, you rolled into the wrong spot, right? All right. Adapt is just getting dropped all over the place with this one. TsoK's got some control on one side of it. Synergy looks like they're trying to get a little bit involved, taking some shots at this range. Retaliative now the last one up, just trying to see if he can make some type of hero play. Not too.
Oath is just gone. In the time that we're watching this fight, Oath has been completely eliminated. Adapt has been eliminated. And now Synergy with a potential... see, that's the thing. They can't push. I was going to say, I'd love to see them push, but backfilling them is now the Soniqs.
Coming in right up on top of this. Synergy's got a little bit of control off the positions, but you know how Soniqs does this. They're going to go ahead and respawn just a little bit. Tickleton already has an idea on what's going on and already on foot. Multiple members of Soniqs now starting to crest this hillside, seeing if they can get some information with it at the time. A little bit of a peek coming up and just quite...
This is such a good fight for Soniqs because there's nobody that can punish them on this hill. There's actually nobody at all that can punish on the hill. Northwest is completely out. And the closest team is TsoK, who can't even see Soniqs, so this is going to be a free fight for them if they choose to take it, which I imagine they will, especially after losing hwinn. Oh yeah, there's an nade. Shrimzy going to get a knock.
Oh, just stacked up right on top. Okay, so now a pretty decent amount of control of the other team members, feeding over a little bit of information. There you go. Shrimzy now has the angle onto it, and the last member for Synergy is trying to run into a little bit of cover, but alas, there is a Tickleton inside of that position, and information is getting fed to him. And look at Mime. Mime's just going to go ahead and roll in here. Let's just go ahead and double up on to this one, and man, last member up, got yourself an ump to play with, so that's at least maybe some capabilities.
There's no, don't maybe. There's no at least.
I'm trying here, Godspeed. There's a small
Paraguay. I mean, look, you take one of Soniqs, they're going to take 4 of yours potentially. Paraguay now know that. Oh, it's going to be rough. Can he get the knock? He does find one. The trade's going to come around though. Nice try, and that is what you get for messing with the Soniqs.
Yeah. Young Kings Flux in a lot of Flux trouble right now, so having to look around through this one, just locked up inside the bathroom right now as he's got a lot of TSM members around him. New circle has popped. This position is not inside the safe zone, so we're going to see ourselves pushing a little bit further into those Yasnaya Fields area we were talking about beforehand. So with a member of Young Kings holding down this position, keep in mind the other 3 are just north of this, but there we go. Finally, Flux is going to go down off of this one. Should be picked up pretty easy.
That was an incredibly greedy split, if I have to say, from Young Kings. They had just 1 here at this Alamo building, and they had the other 3 at Heaven trying to potentially cover, but I mean, you can just completely negate that by crushing the backside, which is what TSM did. They just completely isolated that 1 player of Young Kings and were able to take the position. So quite greedy and not well supported there, unfortunately, for them.
Interesting commitment on Heaven as well instead of Alamo.
Yeah.
A lot of teams really like to hold down Alamo just due to the strength of what it provides in circles.
I mean, at least a 2-2 split there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing about Heaven for Young Kings is the fact that they had terrain around it to play, but they weren't even covering on the TSM.
Well, you can see what's going on at TSM right now as Dignitas taking a couple of harassing shots, as well as Young Kings to the north of them. They do have to make a move, so it looks like they're starting to prep for that one. Got a couple of smokes down. Looks like they're going to be jumping inside of a vehicle. Soniqs, though, getting a little bit more control in the northwest. They've got themselves a couple of friends that they can play with right now, as it is going to be 2 members for Wildcard that are holding down in the dips that are just a little bit east of their position. Do note that Zray, as well as TsoK, are over in the north, and looks like they might try to wrap down and regroup in this one. But TSM in a little bit of trouble as Purdy's going to go down. They have to abandon the vehicle right now. They are inside the safe zone, but high ground advantage is going to go to Young Kings at the time. Nobody else really getting too involved just quite yet, though, as it looks like Young Kings doesn't want to overstep.
The biggest issue for TSM actually isn't even Young Kings. I think it's Dig. I think the fact that Dig can just sit in that museum compound and they can just fire away. I mean, yes, the smokes will help, but this is going to be a lot of utility for TSM to try to have to use in order to get past Dig, in order to just get rid of Young Kings.
And oddly enough, there's not a lot of harassment coming on the other side of this win, where we've got Black Tiger positioned at. Oh, we can't even talk about that, because now we got to jump over. Soniqs are actually going to get held out by Wildcard. Nice reposition coming out from Zrayven and TsoK that we saw just a second ago. Now back over to the Young Kings positions. You can see they're trying to dance around right now, and Black Tiger isn't getting too involved in what's going on, but it is just a lot of send it into dips moments right now, as Gascans also going to get eliminated as they roll through SSG's position.
And that is huge, because one of the teams in contention, the three that the Des talked about, Gascans and SSG finding themselves early.
There is a lot.
That's not what you want to see if you're one of those two teams. Well, I mean, if you're the one that got wiped.
Well, Wildcard now also has control over the north in these fields positions with those dips, and anybody that's going to come at them, they're going to have a lot of vision on how this approach is going to go through. Young Kings doesn't want to overstep, because we still have the Dignitas referees, as Shimboy has managed to spread up to the north just a little bit to see if maybe he can get in a little bit of range to harass as well. New Circle's going to pop any second now, but if you're eUnited, SSG, you're feeling pretty good about it, pretty centered up, and there you go. Circle's going to pop that direction. Now Dignitas, 300, Systematicos, Fiumba, and Troglodytas all going to have to move.
If Wildcard can hold this north side, I actually think they have the best position. I don't think it's eUnited, because Wildcard also have that massive ridge just to the south in between them and the eUnited compound to play, and that ridge is beautiful. The only thing is they have to worry about Black Tigers.
TSM has to deal with Young Kings right now as they're making their own push around the side of it, finding another angle. I believe that Swagger is now the last one up, trying to run for the hillside, but there's just too much harassment coming out of last two members up for TSM FTX at the time. Looks like Black Tigers finally getting a little bit involved in what's going on with Young Kings over here, as Swagger's got nowhere to go. Yep, there we go. Kraken's going to go ahead and take him down, but with this, Black Tigers did move out of the safe zone, and that might allow a little bit of a reposition for TSM, but they still have to worry about Dignitas back.
More importantly, I think it actually offered a reposition for Wildcard, because look at them now. TsoK and Zray have now started to really push into that field, which is actually pushing Black Tigers more and more towards TSM, who isn't in yet.
We've got a couple of little small movements that are going on right now. Systematicos is sending it back into this position. A lot of people have vision on what's going on, but let's not forget about Fiumba, who's pretty comfortable inside their spot right now, kind of protected by the combination of SSG as well as eUnited. So if anybody sends it into this position, they're going to have to deal with being harassed before they even have to deal with Fiumba inside this dip point. While this is going on, though, a lot of eyes are being drawn to this little bit of a skirmish, and that's allowing these teams along the edge to try to creep in and find new points to play from.
Again, my eyes are just fixated right now. Oh, Fiumba fought for this decent little dip here just to the south of the compound that we see United in, but my eyes are just straight up on Wildcard. They're split. The fact that they've taken control of the north side, the fact that they can pretty much control this entire circle if they wanted to, especially anyone coming up in the east or west side trying to encroach on their position. I really like this. I really like what I'm seeing from them, especially because the desk was also talking about top of the show how bad Wildcard needed to win this week.
Oh, TSM is in some trouble right now. Pinta on a smidgen of life. He's going to go down. It's going to be some assistance coming in from there on both sides of that one. Is now Dignitas might do a little bit of harassment at Black Tiger to force them away. But while this is going on, coming back into these different positions, you can see what's going on with Systematicos. But to the south, Dignitas has new contenders. 300 is coming back around this angle. Systematicos is trying to find some way to approach in here. But as it's going on, it's going to be Dignitas finding the opportunities to harass. But they have got to be so careful. If Dignitas stays focused in on this, Ribeiro is going to get a drop on him.
Oh,
and
that's
300
huge.
might find themselves an angle to work with, or even Systematicos might make a play back over into Dignitas.
300 has all the room in the world if they wanted to get aggressive. The problem is they still have at least 2 members of Dig watching their side, and they know that push. Wait! That's another knock. Poon going down now.
Every team in the lobby is now starting to
here comes 300
of Dignitas at this time, trying to set up for the res. 300 not content yet. They don't want to move. They're a little bit hesitant about what's going on right now, so a little bit of calm, settling in what's happening. Wildcard did have one of their members go down. They're trying to reposition, and this is what you're talking about. Look at Wildcard in the north.
Yep.
This is what Godspeed's been talking about for so long. They have so much control. The circle
Even
does
still
shift, but it doesn't matter. Just like you were talking about, that ridge line is so strong that they can play from.
And I'm just waiting for 300 to get aggressive here. There's been multiple knocks on Dig. They have to know at this point it is that team, and that nade is going to confirm it.
Now we got to step back around. It's all about playing around the smokes. Very minimal vision to work with. Looks like Dignitas is going to commit to the low side of it, where Leda is going to be playing from. Honey Badger has gone down from a nice toss coming out from positioning on this one, but it's just a matter of time. Both these teams are waiting this one through. Dignitas is right on the edge of the zone, but there's so minimal options to work with. Extreme finally finding a little bit of an angle to play from, and there we go. Dignitas goes down, and 300 at 8 kills already, get themselves a pretty strong position to play from.
Oh yeah, definitely a strong position. It will be a little sketchy if they have to cross the road, especially if the circle shifts, but even then they do still have options. The biggest threat to them is essentially either going to be Fumba or Black Tigers, but Black Tigers has pretty much been herded into this little corner.
TsoK, they're running right up into SSG. Only one member up, nowhere to go, but Altus does at least manage to take one down. That is going to be SSG going out, and TsoK now get this position for right now. At least going to be able to get the loot. They're going to have to rotate away from it as it isn't inside the safe zone, but almost everything else settling down. I've got my eyes start to be drawn on what's going on to the north. Is it going to be eUnited and Wildcard getting pretty close?
There it is. This is probably one of the most important fights here, I think, of this endgame. Zealot going to come around. Nice knock. He's going to find 2.
Zealot coming up big right now for his team. Maji's down on a different angle from this one, so it looks like they're going to commit to the low side of this hill. Corsac trying to hold together. We've seen him come up big for eUnited. Gets a little bit of damage, but having to step away from what's going on at the time, see if maybe he can hear what's happening, trying to trace based off of footsteps, and I think he's just going to try to retreat away from this one. He's going to have to leave his down teammate. Question comes into play for Wildcard. Maji's pretty far away from the rest of them. Are they going to commit to going after Corsac? Are they just going to make a little bit of play of their own? Looks like they're just going to go for a little bit of flushes, and they got to be careful. I think they might.
No, that was so over aggressive. Oh man,
they should have seen that door opening.
Luckily, they should be able to get up Zealot. Maji, I'm not so sure though.
Yeah, I mean, Maji's as good as dead at this point. They're just going to have to focus on what they've got right now. I mean, they might just try to send it back over there real fast, but they have minimal information on what's happening over here. And they do hear a firefight with what's going on with Black Tiger and 300. Yep. That might give them a little bit of courage to go after it, and that does look like they're committing on that angle. Meanwhile, 300 still on the hunt for more kills. Looks like they've lined up, and they have their focus set into Black Tiger. Prepping this one up, looks like we see a lot of Black Tigers hiding down that hillside. These grenades could come up quite big, as everybody from Black Tiger is having to run back up against the zone wall right now. They're having to be a little bit cautious of what's happening. 300, though, definitely the perpetrators in all the action as it moves forward. These guys coming in with some gusto. Spot out one, get him down. That's going to be Neferhor finding the angle to work with. The smokes, but slowing down everything a little bit. But I think 300 is perfectly fine with this. They feel like they've got so much control going on for them.
They do. They have a lot of control, and that shift gives them even more control overall. And this is exactly what we've been wanting to see from 300. We heard it in the interview with Extreme. You know, they just needed to stop getting in their own heads and playing scared. And since they've stopped and they realized that, I mean, this is an incredible powerhouse team when they get things rolling.
I thought 300 was supposed to hold down a position. Everybody was supposed to come to them. These Spartans are charging out after everything that's moving around them at the time. Wildcard does look like they managed to get that res and do still have control over a northern position with what's been going on between Black Tiger and 300. With the way that the circle's popped, it's still going to be favorable for Fumba, but now eUnited's last member in Corsac has to be a little bit careful as he's going to have to run by where we see Wildcard positioned at, as well as TsoK to the south.
Yes, essentially up to 300 to get rid of Black Tiger, and then it's up to Wildcard, or excuse me, Fumba to hold out TsoK from the southwest. Wildcard, again, they can just kind of chill. They have a member in the circle already, and they can just kind of get TsoK and Maji in whenever they want. This knock is potentially going to be the side. Look how close Leda is. I love this.
So aggression, confidence coming out right now, but it is going to cost him. And he's going to go down with it, but that's fine. Got off a lot of damage. See if maybe the rest of the team can come into support at this point. Black Tiger has to be very, very careful the way that they're playing. This is when Kraken's all up against the wall. They're going to commit into the res. The grenades aren't going to fall into the smokes just quite yet. It looks like instead 300 is going to try to position around, see if maybe they can get a res on their side to counter what's going on inside. But this has kind of stalled everything going on to the east and allowed Wildcard to reposition around what's going on, while Fumba is still having to deal with TsoK just nipping at them, trying to get inside the zone.
The problem for TsoK, though, is also Wildcard now at this point. They have two teams now watching them try to get in the circle. That's going to be not coming out from DraftKings, and it's going to be very rush. A potential just crash, send it right into... Nope, not going to make it. And now 300, if they can, want to get rid of Black Tigers as fast as possible.
I like Wildcard saying, hey, maybe we can get something out of this. I don't think there was a lot of damage done by TsoK in that approach, but Wildcard says, okay, we're going to commit, see if maybe we can get something out of it. Never mind.
Yep, smart to back off.
Commitment. Yep. We're going to come back and step away from that one, let them have control over what's going on. Black Tigers
that knock,
also
though.
Stretching out just a little bit more means the fact that Fumba might just opt in playing this hillside, and it looks like they're going to commit into the chase. They're realizing the fact that if Wildcard is stepping away and they don't want this fight, that means that they probably have the advantage in numbers. So Fumba rolling up into it, drops a Molotov. That is a big problem for Wildcard right now, as they're having to contest with near on nothing. They are running the hillsides with everything's going on, but There we go. Big pop-off coming up from Zealot to at least get one of them down. TsoK on the other side of it, getting a little bit more. Shifting this into a 2v2, but with the smokes down, it looks like it's just going to be a quick reset. While this is going on, Black Tiger is positioning and getting control over the center of the circle. But now TsoK spots out another one, does go down, gets a little bit damaged. Zealot gets spotted as well, and finally, hwinn gets a little bit of time to reset.
And 300 actually have not been that active. They're just making sure they're not getting pushed. So they're kind of just letting all these teams funnel into each other. But Black Tiger are going to be a real pain for them.
Well, they tried to make something happen off of that one, but that was a quick down and flush. With this going on, Capitan does go down. Letty managed to find DraftKings as well. So a weakened hwinn right now having to contest with just ME up.
Oh, this is so good. But on
the backside of this one, here comes 300. Realizing what's going on, takes down Black Tiger, now sitting in a comfortable position. Are they going to choose to crest out and charge after what's going on? Were they paying attention to the kill feed? Are they aware that there is a very weakened hwinn over there? Or are they instead just going to go ahead and use control of position? Looks like they're leaning into control of position, Godspeed, and that can allow hwinn to reset.
I mean, I'm very surprised that Black Tiger actually decided to aggress on hwinn instead of trying to take that fight with 300, just because hwinn had the angles to kind of deal with Black Tiger. So 300 now taking their time, taking, as you said, position in the circle, absolutely taking control. And now this is going to be somewhat tough, but still very doable. If hwinn can find a knock, even just one knock, actually, not even two, would open this fight up for them huge.
Cover does still favor hwinn with the way that this is set up right now. Also, the way that they're separating up, they might get different firing lines on what's going on. Late is staying back behind for 300 right now to see if maybe he can assist in what's happening. Silzen, very aware of the fact that they have a danger close position to where 300 is starting to play. Extreme kind of leading the way right now, but you can see very confident maneuvering outside, just trying to use the hillside to dodge any form of aggression that could be coming at them. So hwinn now having to just play right up against the edge of the zone. And guys, remember, we are in circle 8 right now, so we're going to move in a couple of seconds, and then it's going to force hwinn to move. But Extreme says, screw that.
I love this.
I've got control. Let's go ahead and move around the smoke, see if I spot it out. Does he have an idea on where Silzen is? He's still looking up at the tree. That might be a problem, but with that, it's going to be Neverwhere. It gets a little bit of pop, but Silzen tries to go for a play with this one. Now Capitan finding himself in trouble. It's going to be DraftKings playing around the outside of it. Is going to get spotted out.
Leda with the anchor.
Big, and now Capitan, the last one down. He's got the blue right next to him, and minimal ways to move through what's happening. I think he hears what's going on with Extreme, seeing if maybe he can creep into this one. He's got to try to figure out some way to make this work, but he has so little information to work with the way that these smokes are down. He knows an idea on where they're at. Spots out, tries to go for a spray, but there you go. A very active 300 with 16 kills, taking our first round of the day.
I mean, they started off strong as well last week. It really surprised me as well. Black Tigers, had they pushed 300, that game would have been different, but realizing that 300 had the time to kind of take the position, Black Tigers went into hwinn, so that was a fight they did.